Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again, it is Sunday, and that means it's time for the Texas Gun Vault Poll Question of the Week, a weekly vlog that I put out where I ask you, as my viewers and subscribers, about something that deals with guns, gun culture, history, politics, the news, or even EDC that I want to get your thoughts and opinions on. And this week's question is a compendium to last week's question. I was talking about how I am a collector, and I have many guns in my collection that I have never shot, and some of you make fun of me because of it. But this question asks if any of you have ever shot a firearm so much that you have worn it out. Beyond the basic maintenance, we're talking about smoothing out the rifling in a handgun or a rifle, or shooting a gun where the receiver cracks, not just because it was a defect, but because it had so many rounds through it, it could no longer take it. Because after all, I make a lot of videos, and I always find it really funny that when I review often affordable firearms or budget-friendly firearms, people will tell me that my reviews are bad, that I was too harsh on this affordable gun because they own this $250 Taurus or $300 Ruger, and they have shot tens and tens and tens of thousands of rounds through it, and it still runs perfectly. They've never shot out a gun. Or I have the macho people that say, well, when I buy a gun, it's a tool. I'm going to go out and literally destroy it. I run in the dirt. I run it over with my car, just like my favorite YouTubers do. I shoot it so much, and after 100,000 rounds, my Colt 6920 is now pretty much a shotgun because it has no rifling left in the barrel. And they take great pride in that. And it's really funny how many people say that I don't shoot my guns enough, and they pretty much shoot their guns out of existence. But I really wanted to know how many people, if they're being honest, shoot that way. I know there's a lot of YouTube channels that are very, very popular where people torture test guns. I know, I refer to it as gun porn. We want to be secure in our purchases. You know, when I buy an AR-15, well, it's nice to see somebody out there testing it to its absolute max. It makes me feel better about that gun. But realistically, how practical is that? I know for many of us, we're going to buy any gun for that matter. Many times it's going to be a mid-level to higher level gun, especially if you're watching this channel, and you're probably going to put a few thousand rounds maybe through it a year, and that's it. And you're not going to wear out that gun. But we all know those macho alpha people who claim the tens if not hundreds of thousands of rounds through torture tested guns. And they don't like my channel because that's not the type of content that I create. But let's dive right into this week's question, and then we're going to get your results. This week's poll is the antithesis of last week's question. Last week I asked if you have any guns you do not shoot. So this week I will ask the opposite. Have you ever owned a gun you have shot so much that it has reached a point that you have worn it out? This does not mean wearing out commonly replaced parts, but rather shooting the rifling smooth in a barrel or causing the receiver to warp, crack, or deform. If so, what gun was it, and why did you shoot it so much? Now, by asking this question, I try to put myself in the shoes of myself about 10 or 15 years ago, before I have the collection that I do. And I was only able to afford 2, 3, maybe 4 guns. And of course, I was watching YouTube videos, and I was really excited by YouTubers that were out in the field and shooting targets that blew up, or maybe converted a rifle to fully automatic and then just burn it up, just shot as many rounds as they possibly could. It was awesome to see those guns go boom and blow up and catch on fire. But as I said, how practical is that? And then I will see a bunch of people on forums and on YouTube channels and even in my comment section on my channel talking about how they have particular guns, and the first thing they do is buy cases and cases of ammunition for these guns and just go out and shoot them as much as possible. Maybe they're running courses, maybe they say that's just how they train. The funny thing about it is, though, many times the people that tell me that they do that are the ones that are telling me this on my videos on Tauruses or Rugers. I find it really odd that somebody would go out and spend $250 on a Taurus and probably have to put it on layaway and then claim that they've put 10 or 20,000 rounds through it. I mean, you know how much ammunition costs? I can't believe you wouldn't have taken a little bit of that money and bought a nicer firearm. But as I said, a lot of times people want to portray themselves as being the alpha, they want to portray themselves as being the best, and they want to have confirmation bias on their purchase. But with that said, let's actually see what you guys told me with this week's results. With 985 votes as of me filming this video, we have no. I have never shot a gun so much to wear it out. 86%. Yes, I have shot out one gun until failure because I liked it so much. 7%. Yes, I shoot so much I have shot out many guns. 3%. Yes, I like to torture test guns for reliability. 2%. And something else, explain in the comments. 2%. And as I suspected, most people don't shoot their guns that way. I fully admit it is nice to know that the firearm that you bought has been tested by somebody. One of the reasons I really like police and military guns, besides them just being cool and collectible, is the fact that I know when the military services some type of weapon or fields a certain weapon, that I know that they have tested it to the max, to the extreme, which tells me, as a gun owner, if I shoot 2, 3, or 4,000 rounds through it, it's not even close to its service life. Gives me peace of mind. It lets me know that my gun is durable. It's going to last into the future, and hopefully multiple generations of people will be able to enjoy that firearm. I personally don't get much enjoyment in getting a gun and just going out and shooting it as much as I possibly can. For me, it's a waste of money and a waste of time. Yes, I absolutely love shooting. I love shooting a lot, and you guys see all of my range reports. I am so blessed that I get to do this. But the idea of just buying one gun and shooting it as much as you possibly can just doesn't appeal to me. I'm not really sure what you're trying to prove. On the table today, I have two guns that I have probably shot more than any other guns in my collection. One is a pistol and one is a rifle. First off, we have a Glock 26 Generation 3. And this has been in my collection for quite some time. It was my daily carry for a long time, and probably I have shot it more than just about any gun in my collection. Well, especially pistols. It's a gun that I take to the range often, and many times when people and friends are looking for concealed carry weapons, I take them to the range, and this is one of the guns I always bring because it's such a popular offering. I know this may surprise some people because I made a review on this exact gun, and I said, for the most part, I think it's obsolete, especially in comparing to miniguns like the SIG P365, having such a larger gun with only 10 rounds of capacity compared to, as I said, the SIG P365 or the Springfield Hellcat, which is a smaller gun, easily more concealed. I said, this is obsolete. It works, but it's obsolete. And people said, you're an idiot, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, I actually still own this gun and shoot it often. Now, when it comes to rifles, here is my Colt 6720. This is the lightweight carbine, 16-inch barrel, and this is one of my absolute favorite AR-15s. I love it. I have it decked out with an EOTech. I think I have a through night light on it right now, one of the lights that I reviewed, a B&T rail and a B&T foregrip. This has just been an awesome rifle. And when I go out to the range or go out someplace and I'm going to go shooting, well, this is often the rifle that I'll grab. It has just been a great all-around rifle, and it's a great AR-15 to introduce other people to the AR-15 platform. And as such, as kind of a teacher, as a casual shooter, this thing probably has 5,000 or 6,000 rounds through it, and it has been flawless. It's just been simply awesome. It still looks great. The internals of it still look great. The rifling is sharp, but of course, I don't go out and torture test it. I don't do mag dump after mag dump after mag dump, trying to get the barrel as hot as I possibly can. I have done mag dumps through it, but it's worked just fine, but I don't overheat the gun. I treat the gun with respect. Now, my dad taught me when I was younger when it came to cars, if you take care of your car, your car will take care of you. Well, if you own a gun, most likely you own one of these for self-defense. And well, if you take care of your gun will take care of you if you ever have to use it. If you're somebody that's going to go out and buy, especially a more affordable or budget-friendly gun, and then go put 10,000 rounds through it, well, don't be surprised if in a pinch and when you need that gun, it might not work the best. But you have to decide what your best scenario is for concealed carry and home defense. So let's go through each one of these and I'll give you guys my personal thoughts and opinions. We have no, I have never shot a gun so much to wear it out. 86%, the overwhelming majority, and this is actually the one that I would have voted for as well. One of the things about being a collector is that I have a lot of guns and I like to rotate them. I like variety. I like to take this particular Colt out, but I also like to take my short-barreled rifles out. I like to take my L&Ts out or my Daniel Defenses out. And I'm not going to shoot the same gun every single time. And I'm not going to max out how much ammo I can shoot through it in every range visit. I like to make sure that they function. I like to have fun with them. I like to have other people shoot them, especially if they're trying to get into guns in the Second Amendment and I can introduce them in a safe and responsible way. But as I said, I've never shot out a gun. I will go and have a rotation when I go to the range and also in my collection, so I've just never shot that much. Plus, ammunition is expensive. Then we have, yes, I have shot one gun into a failure because I liked it so much. And I think I've known a couple of people in my personal life that are like this. And I remember the gun. It was a friend that I used to have back when I lived in Fort Worth, and he had a Beretta 92, and he loved the Beretta 92. He was a veteran, and he shot the M9, and of course he got a Beretta 92 after he got out. And I don't think he really had a lot of firearms, but he loved going to the range and loved shooting. And I remember one day he called me and said, "Hey, I'm having a problem cycling my slide. It's getting stuck." Well, I went over to his place and checked it out, and it turns out he had actually cracked the frame. And I said, "Wow, you have put a lot of rounds through this. How many?" Well, he had estimated that he had put 10 cases through this. And of course, a case is 1,000 rounds. So he had this gun for approximately 5 or 6 years, if I remember correctly. And that was a lot of rounds. Now, he was not as meticulous and OCD as I am about my gun, so he didn't clean them regularly, but he shot it and shot it and shot it, and eventually the frame was like, "That's it, I'm done." And unfortunately, he had to go out and buy a new gun, which actually I think is a good thing because I believe he upgraded to one of the higher end Beretta 92s and got a better deal. But I also said, "Hey, you need to treat your gun with a little bit more respect." I said that in a respectful way to him, of course. But I said, "Why don't you buy another one? Because what's going to happen one day if laws are passed and you can't get a semi-automatic assault weapon anymore?" Because we all know that any semi-automatic handgun is going to become an assault weapon eventually in the eyes of the anti-gunners. Why not have 2 or have 3? Hey, you have a backup. Then we have, yes, I shoot so much, I have shot out many guns. Now, as I said, this is a self-reporting poll, so you have to be honest with me. Now, the people that are saying this, out of almost 1,000 votes to have 3%, that's 30 people. That is a lot of rounds, and those people must be extremely wealthy. I know you got to go out to the range and shoot a whole bunch. I do product tests for a particular light company, and I know some people might know what that light company is. I do these private videos, and I have to go to the range and put 500 or 1,000 rounds through particular guns with the lights attached. And I'll tell you, just going to the range and having to shoot 500 rounds using various mounts and such can get kind of tiring. It actually takes the joy out of shooting. You don't realize how many rounds 500 is until you have to do it back to back to back to back. It's tiring, it's no fun. So I can never imagine what it's like to wear out multiple guns. Unless you only have 2 or 3 guns and you spend everything you have on ammunition feeding them. I also know that some people just like to go out there and feel macho and go, "I'm going to destroy this gun." I don't understand that mentality, but so be it. Then we have, yes, I like to torture test guns for reliability. And that's cool too. I'm glad that there's people out there doing it, especially if it's under test circumstances. You know, when I watch YouTube channels where they torture test guns, if it's in a controlled environment, I think it's fantastic data. As I said, it makes me feel better about the guns that I like or don't like. And sometimes I'll like a gun that fails, or I don't like a gun that does really well. It doesn't really affect my feelings towards the guns, but it's nice to know how different mechanical mechanisms work, how different actions work, and how reliable certain companies make their firearms. But that type of data is really good, I think, for gun owners, for military, and police. But for most casual shooters and gun owners, it doesn't really matter. I like to watch it, I like to consume it, and I'm glad that there's people doing it, especially if it's in a controlled environment, as I mentioned. So maybe there's 30 people that watch my channel that actually go out and torture test guns. I sure hope it's not somebody that spends their hard-earned money and just goes out and shoots them just to destroy them, especially if it's a high-end gun like an FN SCAR or maybe a Bushmaster ACR. I hate to see awesome guns like that just get abused. But hey, it's not my property. They worked hard for their firearms and they can do with them whatever they want. And then finally, we have something else explained in the comments. And I think going through the comments, most people that I think would have voted for this pretty much said, hey, I inherited an old gun and I simply wore it out. I shot it mildly, but because of its age and deterioration, I just couldn't shoot it anymore. So that's my thoughts on all these, but let's see what you guys have to say with this week's top-rated comments. And with this week's top-rated comment, we have Matt Moore, who said, I've shot a few guns enough that it required some maintenance like springs and such. I've never shot out the rifling on a barrel or worn a major component so much that it would warrant retiring or replacing a firearm. You have to shoot a lot of good long time to get to that point. I have a decent number of firearms that I rotate through and none of them get shot that much. And I think Matt and I are on the same page here. I know Matt has a very nice collection and he's going to rotate. After all, if you're going to spend your hard-earned money, let's say on a $2,500 high-end AK, well, what fun is it just going out and destroying it? Guns to me are pieces of art. They're mechanical artwork. Yes, go out and have fun with them. Do with them what they're designed to do. But don't go out there and be abusive. That's just my thing. I just don't like to go out there and be abusive for no reason. As I said, if you're out there legitimately testing them in a very controlled situation, have at it. I know the manufacturers love that type of feedback, and it's great for other consumers, but just to destroy a gun, yeah, it makes me a little bit sad. I've always thought it was kind of wasteful. Then we have FN 509 Delaware, who says, Remington 1100, handed down to me when I was 3 years old. I got it at age 12 and used it to hunt everything, my only firearm till I was 18. Still used it till I was 47 for anything flying game hunting. Finally had to retire it when the rails that hold the bolt were too worn to line the bolt to the barrel. Well, that sounds like that was a well-loved and well-used gun. He wasn't out there trying to shoot a gun intentionally to wear it out. Now, this is kind of an exception to this rule. If a gun is so loved by someone that they go out and enjoy it so much, as he did when it comes to his hunting shotgun and wore it out, that is completely different than just going out and saying, hey, I bought this new gun, let's go put 20,000 rounds through it to destroy it. One, I think, is loving use, and the other one is abusive use. And as I said, I just look at it personally as being wasteful if you abuse a gun, but hey, it's not my money, it's not my firearm. I really have no say in the matter. Then we have Fortune Teller, who says, I have started shooting avidly at a time where ammo is no longer cheap. I don't think I have the luxury of shooting any gun to failure, as fun as it would be. Hey, and I'm there with you. That's why I was saying in the opening of this video, I find it so funny that people on my Ruger LCR and LCP videos will tell me they have shot tens of thousands of rounds through these guns. And I'm just thinking to myself, okay, they're okay guns, they're gonna work, but if you're spending that much on ammunition, why not just buy a better gun to go with it? You could still almost shoot the same number of rounds, and you have a way better gun. But hey, as I said, it's not my money. But I also wonder if those people are telling me the truth. Then we have Razor JB, who says, I've shot out rifle barrels before. Just so many thousands of rounds, shoot the barrel out and rounds start keyholing. Replace barrel and start over. It wasn't failure technically, but it was in my opinion. Well, he brings up a good point. I guess it really kind of depends on the rifle. Some guns are easier to replace barrels on than others. So an AR-15, it's not so bad if you know what you're doing. But I also know that some cartridges, because of the temperatures and the pressures, will wear out rifling sooner. Now, I'm not really sure what these barrels are supposed to be rated to. I want to say about 20,000 rounds when it comes to the military testing. But I've heard they actually replace them around 14,000 rounds, which really in the grand scope of things isn't all that much. So they try to replace them before the rifling would even go smooth. And I don't really look at 14,000 rounds as that much, even if it's non-abusive shooting. So maybe in some guns, replacing the barrel is a commonly replaced part. I guess we just have to go gun by gun here. But there are other guns like M1 Garands. Well, if you're going to torture test that, to replace the barrel on that is much, much harder. I know that one time I had to send my auto ordnance Tommy gun out to a gunsmith to replace the barrel because it required specialty jigs and tools that I just didn't have, and he had the hydraulic presses and all that kind of stuff. So if you shoot out a barrel on a Tommy gun, I think you've shot the gun out, but maybe not on an AR-15. And then finally we have Grr6637, who says, most of my guns will never have more than 1,000 rounds put through them, except carry and defensive ones. The rest are just fun to look at. You know, and I think I'm in the same boat as him. My guns are fun to look at. Yeah, you can make fun of me that I have guns that I don't shoot. But then, when I get to open up the safe to somebody and show them my collection, well, I have a lot of pride in that because I like to learn everything I can about guns, I like to collect them, and most importantly, appreciate them. Because firearms essentially go hand in hand with human history. And I love history. I also love mechanics. Firearms are just everything to me because they represent freedom, they represent intellectual interests, and they're just fun. So there you go. That is the Texas Gun Vault poll question of the week. Have you ever shot out a gun because you put so many rounds through it? I appreciate you all voting, and I look forward to seeing what the results are of next week's poll. And by the way, if you want to join me in next week's poll, please go to the community tab of my YouTube channel. I will put a link in the description, and you guys can see next week's poll. Please go over there, see what the poll's about, vote, comment, and like other people's comments so we can get the top-rated comments of the week. I also want to put a quick plug in for my second channel, the Texas Gun Vault 2. I haven't done that in a while. It's kind of a behind the scenes channel, a little bit casual in nature where I show up and coming projects. I mainly just film on my camera phone about things that I can't always flesh out into content here on the main channel. I've had a couple people stop by over there and we're really surprised. I'll also put a link to that in the description, as well as my Rumble channel. If you guys are trying to find good firearms content on Rumble, another great streaming platform, go out and check out my channel. Both the Texas Gun Vault and Texas Gun Vault 2 are over there on Rumble as well. So let me know what you think in the comments section below. And as always, thanks for watching.